Our first panel is about women's voice in diplomacy. First of all, I would like to introduce my panelist. Lugon Moulin is Swiss ambassador to Serbia. Welcome, please. Milana Rikanović, she is director of UN Women in Serbia. Milana was also in first edition last year, so thank you for being with us 2 years in a row. The same with Plamena Halačeva. Hi, Plamena. Plamena is deputy of chief of delegation of EU to Serbia. Avivit Bar-Ilan, she is new ambassador of Israel to Serbia. Maybe she don't feel it's new anymore, but she was not here with us last March. Andrea Pavukova is president of International Women's Club in Serbia and also spouse of Slovakian ambassador to Serbia. Giulia Sykopetrites, is that right? Hello, Giulia. She's deputy of ambassador of Cyprus to Belgrade, to Serbia. And Aleksandra Joksimović, she's director of Centra of Foreign Policy. And also our former ambassador to UK in London. First of all, I would like to speak with all of you about your personal view of women's rights if in the light of some neoconservative global trends in past few years, which we can see that woke culture, as they said, it's under threat of this neoconservatism, and also women's rights are also under this pressure. So do you feel this kind of change? I will start with you, Andrea. Do you feel this kind of change in global trends in media, in conversation with your colleagues? Please.
First of all,
just speak. Yeah, they will.
You can hear me.
Yeah.
First of all, I would like to say good morning to everyone, and thank you, Robert, for your invitation to this panel. For me, it's the first time, and I am very honored and grateful to sitting here among these amazing and very beautiful ladies today. Thank you. And your question, I think it changed a little bit, but in my opinion, women's rights we should consider it on the same scale as human rights. So doesn't matter if it's about gender, if it's about ethnicity, if it's about sexual orientation. First, we are human beings, women. So I think extremism, it's never good both ways. So
thank you, Avivit.
Thank you very much, Robert, and I'm very happy to be here today with you. I see things a little bit differently, and I'm a true believer in diversity, in expressing different points of view, and because of the reason that still there is a kind of group thinking, and I would say we don't have enough diversity. There is a need to be active in empowering women to be more present in different decision-making processes. For me, my personal experience, whenever I enter a meeting, the first thing I'm doing is I'm counting. What does it mean? I'm counting the number of women around the table.
And how is counting in Serbia?
In Serbia, it's relatively good.
Yeah.
When I was previously, in my previous position, Deputy Head of National Security Council in the Israeli Prime Minister's office, when I was counting, I was reaching number of 2, okay? maybe 3. And this means that the decision process making is not good enough because we can fail in the only one way thinking and are not thinking enough out of the box. So therefore there's a need to empower women to be more present around the table, and when they sit around the table, to speak, to raise their voices. Thank you.
Okay. Anne?
Thank you very much. Thanks for inviting me. I think you are specifically speaking about backsliding in women's rights, given the new tendencies of neoconservatism. When it comes to Switzerland, to my country, I will come to Serbia later, I don't think we have those so far, but we have still progress to be made. And in those progresses, you might see less willingness to improve quickly. Let's talk about equality in salaries, for example, or child care, taking care capacities for children so that they can have both family and careers. Those might be less progressing than expected because of
In last couple of years, or what?
In the discourse, not in the action yet, but it might come. Let's put it this way. Nevertheless, I would like to emphasize the progress that my country has done, given the fact that we had the women's right to vote only in 1971, and we have more than 40% of parliamentarians.
Can you explain us, because we always think about Switzerland as a #1 country in everyone. Why is that so?
So we are back #1, but it took us a few decades. But, well, because it was put on popular vote. You know, the population, and it was only men voting, of course.
Yeah, of course.
It was only men who had to give the vote to women, and it was, I think it was refused once or twice, and it was put again by the government to the popular vote, and men eventually said yes, but we needed a lot of efforts from women to make this breakthrough in 71. And it came with various laws and enabling women to enjoy the same rights.
So this is what's happened if you always ask people, not the decision makers, but people to decide.
Direct democracy has its beauties. You know, we don't have so much political turmoil because people can express themselves very regularly on all sorts of issues. They feel empowered and participative, but you get also sometimes results that the government doesn't like.
Thank you. Milana?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for inviting me second year in a row. And yes, for me, women's rights are a fundamental part of international human rights framework. And they are not optional, they are not negotiable, they are not ideological. And indeed, we see in the recent year, globally, regionally, but as well nationally, that somehow women's rights are being reframed into the part of as ideological battle and issue. And under the pretense of fighting woke culture or defending traditional values, we are actually seeing quite erosion of women's rights. And this erosion is not rhetorical, it really has the implications to the women and girls on the ground in less services to women, less financing to women's organization, less legal protection, increased economy of care burden. So fighting for women's rights as the part of the human rights which are inherent and which are not negotiable is something which we all stand for. And it is worrisome that under the pretense of defending traditional values, we are actually deteriorating already hardly won women's rights, which generations of women fought.
When we are speaking about less financing of those kind of programs or NGOs, this started when with this new Trump mandate with USAID and everything else, or even before this?
That started even before that, from shifting the focus from women's rights and services to women to all kinds of services with the traditional values, which are sometimes harmful for women. And of course, no one is against some positive traditional values. But then Trump had a nail in a coffin, so to say, because it gives the legitimacy to the conservative governments across the world that that's something okay to do, which is not.
Finally, the big boss thinks the same. Yeah, Plamena.
Good morning. Thank you once again for having me for the second year in a row. I must say that I feel that although I'm very privileged to be in such a high-profile panel, there is also a setback when it comes to male participation in the panel.
Yeah, you have me.
Yes, yes, of course. But as a moderator, it would be
Yeah,
good to
yeah.
also have some men among us to discuss these issues. I wanted to pick on the term that you're using in your question, and also that Milana used. It's about woke and anti-woke movement, because I think this word has done way more damage than good for the cause. As you may know, it actually started being used already in the 40s last century, and it was mainly used to describe social injustice experienced by African Americans. And then more started to be used for various forms of social movements, including gender empowerment, LGBTI issues, etc. It started being using left, right, and center, and then it became progressively toxic. It became toxic also because it describes somebody who is awake, a bit like in the Matrix when you unplug Neo from the Matrix and then he's awake. But then this implies that everybody else is sleeping. So there is this notion of moral superiority. We are better because we're awake. And I think this is very damaging for all the causes that have been described as part of the woke culture, including gender equality, because as Anne very rightly pointed out, we need the man. It's not something which can be achieved against men's rights. We need everybody on board for issues like gender equality. And I also want to agree with Milana. I think that we have really witnessed erosion of women's rights, and this has such a widespread geographical coverage from countries like Afghanistan to US, what we have witnessing with abortion rights. Actually, UN Women in their global report, which was issued just in the eve of 8th of March, described serious setbacks, including, I think, like a quarter of countries worldwide have reported setbacks when it comes to women's rights. We know that every 10 minutes a woman and a girl is killed worldwide. We also know that labor participation is really seriously lagging behind. Just to mention very quickly that on 8th of March, the European Union, also the European Commission proposed its roadmap for advancing women's rights, covering a number of issues. There was also a report on basically assessing the work we have done so far, and while I think we may have made important progress when it comes to adopting legislation, for example, the first directive on combating violence against women, we are witnessing serious delays when it comes to implementation. So it's all about implementation. And to finish on a positive note, according to the latest gender equality index, out of 100 points, the European Union is 71 points, which is not bad. It's still
EU in total.
EU in total. Yeah. But what is even more important, at least to me, is that this report shows that the disparity between what we call new member states and the old ones has really reduced.
Really?
Yes, it has considerably reduced compared to 2010, and this gives me hope that we're on the right track. And I think also signals the importance of having positive role models and those who can inspire us and who have achieved and have gone further when it comes to gender equality, bearing in mind that no country is there yet.
Okay. Aleksandra?
Well, let me express the gratitude to Color Press Group and Robert Čoban for constantly returning to this very important topic. I think no matter what kind of situation are we now, I think that we should consider this topic as extremely important. The role of women is present in very developed democracies, as we have already seen. Legislation is just a first step, but the implementation and the prejudice that we are fighting against are such huge and high, and I will tell something more about that probably later. But you have mentioned woke culture. Woke culture is, if I understood that correctly, is concentrated mostly on minority groups. Women are not minority group, we are majority. Therefore, we don't need to be pushed into woke culture. Okay,
but it was always considered like part of this. People who are against woke culture, they say there are too much right for LGBT population, too much right for different national minorities or race minorities, and also too much right for women.
According to
Yeah.
feminism,
Yeah.
which we could now discuss additionally, because I think that the role of women should not be to reject our own gender. We shouldn't become male and men to have the same positions in that career race. We shouldn't reject our families, children. Yeah, we need to make a balance in all our roles, which is very difficult. But then again, we have really to fight against prejudice. And then there are a variety of problems of women in the society. It's a femicide, it's economic inequality, difficult career perspectives. So I think that those kind of discussions are bringing a possibility to show and to encourage young women. I'm not in that group anymore, but I've passed through difficult
But you have two daughters?
Yes,
Yeah,
I do have two daughters, and I'm highly educating them to recognize inequality in a society. To wrap up, I would say that we need networking. What we did, for example, in the UK, if you're talking about the women in diplomacy, there were 20% of women in diplomacy in the UK. I'm very proud to be the very first female.
In UK diplomacy abroad?
In UK, all diplomats from abroad, diplomatic corps. Diplomatic
And
corps.
Brankica mentioned that in the case of Serbia is now what percentage? 35. So even higher. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But-
Serbia.
But my impression is, I didn't count that in Belgrade, the European ambassador is maybe now 50-50 after this last shift. No? EU ambassadors.
I'm not sure about the
Yeah.
numbers of ambassadors in Belgrade, but in UK there were 20%, and you have to count that it's more than 190 countries present in the UK, all the world, yeah. But those 20%, we had our network, and that's something that I can always advocate for. I mean, and we had our WhatsApp group, and I gave a lot of lectures about the role of women in the society, in diplomacy. So it was very high-ranked topic during my post in the UK.
During your post, for which other countries were women ambassadors?
When I was
Yeah.
well, there was a U.S. ambassador that was
really?
female
Yeah.
ambassador. I think that as me, she was first U.S. female ambassador to the UK. I'm very proud to be the first one as well.
Like this in the TV series.
Well, considering TV series, we might comment that later. But
Yeah.
there are a lot of things that are not logical in that series. It's a very
You
interesting
watched
one.
it the whole
Yes,
season,
I watched it, and I watched it while I was there.
Yeah.
But
Actually, you live it.
well, it is screened in residence of U.S. ambassador and in some other very
In actual residence. Really.
But there are some very unlogical things. Even the foreign secretary of the UK at that time, James Cleverly, made comments on press conferences. What's not logical? For example, for any foreign diplomat just to enter into the office of foreign secretary or meet prime minister in premises of foreign office. And many other details. But anyway, I mean, networking is crucial, and in those networks, we don't need only women; we need men as well. Thank you for being supportive.
That's why I'm moderator instead of you last year.
And then prejudice. We have to fight them really highly, even about vocabulary. If you say he is ambitious man, it's very positive. Characteristic for men. If you say she is ambitious woman, excuse me for non-diplomatic language, but she's bitch.
Yeah.
And that's just not true. I'm very proud to be ambitious woman. So we have to put that forward and say, no, we have that right, and we can do it all. I mean, I can cook in kitchen, yes, but my husband could cook as well. So there are no differences. We take care about our kids. Well, they're now grown up, but anyway, the position in the society, but in your own home, should be more or less the same.
Okay, thank you. Giulia?
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation to participate to this panel. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I was thinking of saying a few of the things that were already said. In our case, I can speak about Cyprus, so I can say something different. We, as the Swiss ambassador said, we haven't arrived yet. We haven't achieved equality. So we're still fighting to achieve equality, and we're not fighting against this trend yet.
In Cyprus?
In Cyprus. The president, who is a very young, ambitious president wanting to change the world and make it a better place, has appointed a commissioner for gender equality, which is something very new to Cyprus, where stereotypes are very traditional, let's say. And she's formulated a national strategy for gender equality in order to create a culture between people, and she's trying to, let's say, impose this culture in ministries and where the government has a say, fighting stereotypes and all these traditional roles, which unfortunately are still very strong in Cyprus, where the man is the provider of the family, the mother is the caretaker, with all the repercussions to her career and equality. So in our case, we're still fighting for this. I believe everyone is still fighting for this. I was trying to find also statistics. I thought we were bad, but most of the countries are close to us, so we're not so bad at this. We're all bad. And thinking that the female population is the 50% of the population, and we're still struggling to go over 30% in positions, in leadership positions.
Housing businesses in Cyprus, also male-dominated?
That's around 8%.
8?
8.
So
Yeah.
this is,
So that's
this is low.
tragic.
Yeah. Thank you. You already
Thank
answered
you.
my second question. My second question would be, what is your personal view on position of women in your country in comparison with Serbia, and do you see any differences? Andrea, Slovakia, Serbia?
Yes, actually, Slovakia and Serbia, until maybe 30 minutes ago, I thought we are very similar, but I think you are a little bit better than
Really?
we are.
Yeah.
Yes, and I'm very sorry to say that, because I still can see that we are carrying with us this post-communism traditions, and of course it's better now, like it was 15, 20 years ago. But
Is it post-communism, or is it some new traditionalism connected with religion, in your case?
It's both.
Catholic or
It's
Protestant?
both.
Yeah.
It's post-communism tradition, and also we are very conservative, tradition-based country. However, we had before current president a woman president, but sadly she didn't want to do second round. So that's also the society who pushed her not to doing it. So it's very sad, and what I'm hearing, listening now, we have to do more, because they are still looking in our society to women that you have to do domestic work, child care, and full-time job, and you are still not enough, or the balance with men. So we have to work a lot on this. We have only up to 20% of women in the government, like members of parliament. So
thank you. Maybe our version of communism was a little bit softly than yours. When we consider about our socialism heritage, it is always connected with some kind of equality between women and men, and new neoconservatism tradition connected with church, with some right-winging parties, is connected with inequality. So this is the difference, obviously.
yes.
Yeah. Avivit?
Thank you.
Thank you.
In Israel, we have women soldiers. We have,
Yes, I wanted actually to share with you the Israeli experience in the security sector. I don't know if you know that in Israel it's mandatory for women to serve also in the Israeli military. It's 2 years military service. Actually, my
for
mother...
men, for women.
For men, it's 3 years now.
3?
Because of the recent war, it was increased, but in the past it was almost the same. Actually, my mother, who is 85 years old, served in the Israeli military. I served in the Israeli military. And my 2 daughters served in the military. My youngest now is a soldier in a counterterrorism unit. Okay, she's 20 years old. And during the years, there was a very interesting development in the Israeli society. I served in the Israeli Air Force and the Combat Airplane Squadron. Okay, at the time when I served in the military more than 30 years ago, I couldn't become a pilot in the Israeli Air Force. 30 years ago, a young woman called Alice Miller applied to the Israeli Supreme Court and said that by not allowing her to serve in the Israeli Air Force as a pilot, she's discriminated. And the ruling of the Israeli Supreme Court supported her position and said that this can be considered as discrimination. And since then, 30 years ago, 95% of all combat positions in the Israeli military are open for women. So when my youngest wanted she went into the process of screening, maybe she can become a pilot, she could do it while I couldn't do it. So currently we have more leading women in important positions in the military. During the last war, October 7 war, women soldiers saved a lot of people, fought. We had 60 women that fall during their duties, okay? And, but still, if you look in the upper ranks in the military, we have 23 major generals. Mm-hmm. Out of them, there's only 2 women.
Yeah. And in government?
In government, I mean, the statistics, I'm not proud of the statistics. Mm-hmm. Out of 32 ministers, we have 5. Mm-hmm. Out of 98 ambassadors, we have only 27. Mm-hmm. And I'm part of the senior diplomats in the Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs that really advocate integrating what certain countries adopted as a feminist foreign policy into our foreign policy. We don't have yet a feminist foreign policy, but we try to integrate as much as possible. And I share with you what you said about networking. I think our role as senior diplomats or senior women in senior position is to advocate and encourage younger generation to sit around the table, to speak, to do more, to help them, to mentor them, to lobby for their positions, because women are usually shy. Okay? If you have women competing against men, the women would always say, I'm not sure I'm capable enough, while the men will say, of course I'm capable enough. I have 5 minutes experience in this subject. What's the problem? Okay? And we are always more criticizing and want to be perfect and want to do if we are not 100% fit to the job, we will not apply. And this is not the way to do it. In Israel, there's a prominent NGO called the Deborah Forum that empower women in the fields of foreign affairs and security sector. And I'm proud to be of this forum. It's apolitical, where we do the same. We empower young generation to do more and help in networking and other women to gain better positions.
And after Golda Meir, there was non-president or prime minister?
Not yet. We had one minister of foreign affairs of women, Tzipi Livni.
Was it candidate? Candidate for president?
Yeah, she was for candidate, yes. We had last time. Every time we have, and definitely
they lost. Yeah.
They lost because those who elect them are the members of the Knesset and our parliament, and if we don't have enough women there, definitely this will be the result. So there's room for improvement and exchanging knowledge and experience from other countries in order to have a better, I hope, better future for my daughters. Thank you.
Thank you. Anne?
Thank you very much. Well, when it comes to differences, maybe one of the differences I see is that expressing values and behavior, in the routine behavior, maybe a bit more paternalistic, patriarchal values here than in Switzerland. But when I look at the entire society, and especially the society I'm in, with all
Belgrade?
of you, NGOs, ministers, CEOs of big enterprise, Swiss companies here, big Swiss companies have all CEO women, Serbian women leading the subsidiaries of Swiss big companies here. You have a high proportion in the government, in the old NGO sector, many women leaders. So I'm coming to what you said about the post-communist or the communist equality system. I think we were aware at some point in our societies that on that you were at a good level, and we can see this now. We can still see this, but it's cohabiting with the kind of paternalistic and biased views sometimes. I have an anecdote. Yesterday I was coming back from Montenegro at the airport. At 11 o'clock in the night there was a big queue. I took the CD line to get out of the border. And when I stopped in front of the CD line, because there was another passenger who had to check, a very tall man came to me and said, "You are in the wrong queue." Would have he said this if I was 55 years old, 1'9", male, gray hair? I'm not sure. So those kind of things reminds me that there's still some progress to be made.
Which airport was that?
Sorry?
Which airport was that?
Here.
Here,
Yesterday
Belgrade.
night. Yeah, at 11 o'clock yesterday night.
Amazing.
So that reminded me that, okay, there are still gender bias, which I think in Switzerland we no longer have, but it doesn't necessarily translate into more women in key positions than here. This is, I think, very interesting. Let me also remind you that I'm the first Swiss woman ambassador here in this country. I was also the first Swiss woman ambassador in my previous post. And in the 70s and 80s, Swiss women diplomats did not have the right to get married. We were there at that time.
Like priests, like Catholic priests.
We were there. So, I mean, the progress that has been achieved over the last decades, the era we live in as women, this is always what I want to emphasize, is the best era ever. For the Western societies. I'm speaking, I've lived in other societies, I cannot say that, but for the Western and Eastern societies of Europe, is ever the best.
In case of Israel, last 20 years, men, women, ambassador. Yeah. It was Yafa, it was Yossi, it was Alona, it was Yachel, then you. So 50% properly. Yeah.
But for us, we still have women. Yeah. Here it was only men.
Okay. You will be icebreaker in this. Yeah. Milana, because you are local, you are from here, I would ask you, Anne mentioned Belgrade and this kind of society, which we know this is not Serbia, and this is not the real Serbia. When you compare Belgrade, they said krug dvojke, and the rest of Serbia in terms of the women's rights?
Well, indeed, I'm often reflecting on the contrast and commonalities both within the country and comparing to the other countries. And definitely Serbia context cannot be understood only by statistics. You have to look into the deep layers of daily life, social inequalities, and social requirements and perceptions which are more strongly outside of the Belgrade. Of course, we are always starting with statistics, and they are saying that women are disadvantaged in Serbia in almost all areas of life. They are less employed, less active at the labor market. They are disproportionately taking care of the unpaid homework. They are owning insignificant amount of property in Serbia. They are less occupying leadership position. Just name it the area. And this is even more aggravated, and the inequalities are getting bigger when you are having disadvantage, being that you are outside of the some of the big cities, capitals, or if you are in a situation of poverty, and we know that women are more in a situation of poverty in Serbia because of the less earnings, and if you're belonging to any of the specific group, being that minority group, rural women, sexual orientation, older women, younger women, and at the end you will find yourself in at least two categories of these women. Either you are younger and then you have no access to the labor market, or you are older, you need more social care, which is not sufficient. But having said that, Serbia achieved a lot of advances, and you can see it in institutional frameworks, in legal frameworks. You see the advancement in even in the social norms. I'm sure you have seen men pushing the strollers with kids. We do see powerful women occupying the powerful position in business, in government. We are seeing the women, huge effort, collective and individual, of women entrepreneurs, women in academia, women in media. So, and of course, very strong and very prominent women and feminist movement, which is an ally. So there is something to build upon. But looking at the comparison, really, we should be, there is always, we would be better off if we are comparing to Afghanistan. We are fantastic. If we are comparing to what we want to achieve.
Or to United States? I'm thinking about
United States,
abortus and the rest.
On the abortion rights, this is kind of the basic human right, and I would not even go into that.
Yeah.
But if you want to look at the equality, and we want same rights for men and women in Serbia, boys and girls, then there is a lot for us to do more, and we should learn from each other. There are some advancement in other countries, but there are a lot of advancement in Serbia, but as well a lot of pushback. And we have to fight together to alter these statistics, but moreover, social norms which are shaping all areas of our lives.
Thank you. Plamena, we can skip you. Bulgaria, Serbia, it's more or less same. No? I'm joking, I'm joking.
I agree. Should we skip? I consider myself half local, actually. I have this pretense. Do you want me to say
Yeah, no, please.
No, I think that
please.
we actually have really a lot in common, maybe more than we're willing to admit. But I think the whole region, the whole Balkans are really known for breeding very strong women. And every time it strikes me that despite this, we're the region in Europe with the lowest female labor participation, which is even more surprising knowing that more women than men graduate from universities.
In Bulgaria?
In
Serbia?
In Serbia, in the Balkans as a whole.
In both, yeah.
Labor, so employment rate for women in general in the region is 45% compared to 65% to men. We know that women continue to be overrepresented in low-paying sectors. We also know, as a number of the panelists have said, they continue to carry the lion's share of domestic unpaid work. And on this, I have come across statistics, and maybe Brankic will say this is still the case, but from what I remember, Serbian women spend daily 2.5 hours of unpaid housework. And this is the indicator where this is actually the biggest gender gap between the EU 27 and Serbia. And yes, we have seen important progress, but I would say that still, in the whole region, Bulgaria and Serbia included, women continue to be underrepresented in leadership positions. And this, for me, is one of the contributing factors why we have seen uneven and insufficient implementation of legislation which aims to empower and protect women, including from domestic violence. I think that all of us are really, I mean, every time we're shocked by yet another news of femicide or serious attack against women, be it in Serbia, being in Bulgaria. And we all know that without the freedom of living without violence, we cannot really talk about gender equality. And this brings me to another maybe element, another difference between Serbia and Bulgaria. Because we know that one of the contributing factors, for example, to domestic violence is economic dependence. And one of the things which surprised me when I arrived in Serbia is to learn, especially in this type of forum, is there's this practice, or should I call it tradition, for Serbian women to renounce to their inheritance. There's this gender-biased inheritance principle that basically you need to renounce to your inheritance to the benefit of a brother, husband, etc. And this is not something that I have seen anywhere else, not even in my country. And I think that we really need to work on this, because economic independence is among the key, this is the basis for progressing on gender equality.
Thank you. Aleksandra, comparison with UK and Serbia?
Milana said a lot of things about Serbia. What I have to
please, UK and Serbia.
Add, I would say that we have pretty good legislations. We have pretty good gender balance in government, in parliament. It can always be better, but in diplomacy, so and so. Concerning UK, but then again, the role of church is very important. Serbian Orthodox Church, as the whole society, is very conservative. And if you enter the church...
Which is not the case anymore in England.
No, not at all. For example, if you enter Orthodox Church nowadays, you would see that there is left side for women, I think, left side, and right side for men. Whenever I enter, I go contrary, you know, I go among men, because my rebel spirit doesn't allow me to obey, you know.
And you can see young people crossing in the buses in front of
and then
outside the church.
Then women are covering hair, and that's something that didn't exist in the past. In my childhood, it wasn't the case. But that additional conservative elements in our society. Concerning UK, they are highly democratically developed society, but they still have men's club where women can't enter. I was member of one of the clubs thanks to my role in the UK. So my ambassador role entitled me to enter that into the membership of that club. But most of the clubs are still only men clubs. Coming to, I know that your next question is going to be anecdotes, but I will tell you now that prejudice are so high in UK society as well. When we arrived, and still diplomatic corps and British people didn't know us, me and my husband who followed me during my post, they would approach and ask, where are you coming from? And I would say, we are from Serbia. They would immediately address him saying, Your Excellency. First time, second, third, it was funny. But fourth time, I was thinking, oh my God, is there something on my face saying that it can't be me?
But actually, he really looks like ambassador. I must say.
Concerning diplomacy in the UK, they don't have such high percentage of women ambassadors, but they insisted on high quality of posts because they have ranks of posts in the world. So at some point, all the highest posts were dedicated to
in Belgrade.
To
I think it was only one in last 30 years.
That was
one UK ambassador, the previous one.
The previous one. But then they had in UN, in Washington, Paris, Berlin, I think Moscow. Seven top positions, top positions. They were insisting on let's say quality. So I mean, of course, there are differences, but on the other way, prejudices are more or less the same everywhere.
Thank you, Giulia. You a little bit answered this question. So yeah, you want to add something?
Yes, I wanted to add that as a society, we're very similar. Even though we're not that close, we're not a Balkan country, we're very similar. And as I was saying, men have a different role in the family than women. And as I was listening to all the speakers,
Is
I
it?
was thinking,
Tell me, is
I
it?
could say something about this and this and this.
Is it
No.
different in northern part, occupied part of Cyprus?
In the occupied part of Cyprus,
Do you know
it's
what is
completely different.
worst than?
It's very similar to what's happening in Turkey now. Mosques. And
Yeah, we understand.
So what's happening in Cyprus, legislation is much more advanced than 20 years ago, for example. We started voting in 1960 when we got our independence, so we were early in that. But as I was saying before, women in leadership positions are very, very few, whereas our ambassadors in our top posts are women. In the EU, UN in New York is a woman, in Germany is a woman, our political director. Most of our directors in the ministry are women. Like, I think there is one man in the ministry. The rest of the men, the high-ranking men, are ambassadors.
Yeah.
Somewhere abroad. So there is a trend to change. This struggle is continuous, and we haven't reached equality, but we're trying to get there.
Okay, thank you. Speaking about diplomacy, there is also cultural diplomacy, and I would like to give a floor to Marija Milošević. She is with us for just few sentences. Please, Marija, have a microphone to speak about your project in United States. You can sit here. Yeah.
Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity, and thank you, ladies, for listening to me, and of course, esteemed guests. I will say just a couple of words about cultural diplomacy in practice. Although I come from a private sector, I'm the founder and the director of the contemporary art gallery, Art for All, from Belgrade. For the past couple of years, we are promoting Serbian contemporary artists in the United States. And at the moment, we have opened the exhibition at the American University Museum at the Katzen Art Center in Washington, D.C. This is cultural diplomacy in practice because we are promoting not only contemporary art from Serbia, but we are trying to rebrand Serbia because the exhibition is called #Serbia in Real Life. And although
Good luck to you.
Thank you. But we are a good practice of how the private sector can work together with institutions, because our project is supported by the Ministry of Culture and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, but also the State Department is has supported us, because my partner in this endeavor is Mrs. Elizabeth Escobar, who is a wife of a former, actually a diplomat.
Gabriel Escobar?
Yes, yeah. Gabriel Escobar, who was a special envoy for the Western Balkans. And I heard a lovely saying from her, and an anecdote, that diplomats cry twice when they come to Serbia. First, they cry when they come to Serbia.
Why? Why they cry then? I understand the second cry.
Yeah, maybe they didn't expect, that kind of relocating. But for sure, they cry second time when they are leaving Serbia.
That's for sure.
So Mrs. Elizabeth Escobar and I are working on this endeavor to pass on a good word about Serbian contemporary art actually fine art, and this exhibition is about 12 contemporary Serbian artists, but we also are doing this with our colleagues from American University at the Katzen Art Center, because the director of the museum was here in Belgrade to inspect, to have the experience of living here and knowing the artist, and then we did selected those artworks, and the exhibition is up until the May 18th. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to speaking about the cultural diplomacy in practice. Although I'm not coming from a formal institution, we are good at working together on this subject. Thank you once again.
Maria was awarded with the Diplomacy and Commerce Award 2 years ago for improving bilateral relationship between Serbia and US in cultural fields. And just a short speech we have with us, Esther Bayer. She's Holocaust survivor, born in concentration camp Staro Sajmište, and she would like to speak a few words to you.
Ester Albahari, po majci sam Jevrejka, rodila sam se na Sajmištu i svi su mi stradali. Bila sam u domu za nedonošće u Zvečanskoj ulici 3 godine. Posle su me uzeli baba i deda, tu sam bila od 3. godine do 13. godine kada su oni umrli. Ja nisam neke škole završila, jer nije bilo mogućnosti, jer su oni bili penzioneri i stariji ljudi. Ja sam prešla kod Dragana, koji me spasao iz logora, što je sticajem okolnost tamo radio i tako mi je spasao moj život. I ja sam poslednji primerak živi sa Sajmišta. Hoću drugo da vam kažem. Od 13. godine...
Koliko si bila teška, samo mi reci po rođenju?
900 grama, rodila sam se od 7 meseci sa 900 grama. Bila sam ko vekna leba. Dalje.
I živela si u kutiji za cipele narednih par godina.
Tamo su me držali, nisu čak ni krili su me, zato što su Nemci stalno kontrolisali da ima jevrejska deca. Jer su znali da se tamo kriju deca. Posle kad su mi baba i deda umrli, prešla sam kod Dragana i išla sam u trgovačku školu. Onda se učilo ruski i francuski. Samo sam francuski znala da kažem Paris, la capitale del France. A engleski nije. Samo znam ovako I love you i da bome. A mogu vam reći da sam mnogo radila. I hoću da poručim vama ženama, pošto imali ste mogućnosti da se školujete, da učite jezike, da se prosvećujete. Ja nisam to imala mogućnosti, ali sada imam u mojoj zajednici koji me podržavaju i ja se borim za svašta. Tu je i naša ambasadorka koju je volim i stalno negde idem, dolazim samo da se ovo malo života što mi je ostalo, koji zna kad ću da, ja hoću još da živim, ali imam 83 godine.
Hvala, Ester.
Evo da me vi vidite svi i borite se žene, borite se, ne dajte. Ja uvek volim da budem dotarana, jako nemam neke mogućnosti skupe da kupim nešto. Ovo je, mislim, nije to zlato, ja sam prošla pored zlata, ali volim da budem dotarana još uvek.
Bravo.
Tako. I želim vam svima sve najbolje i vama na ambasadorka. Eto.
Hvala Ester puno.
Roberta da kažem, mnogo volim. Ko da je moj sin, a nije. A ja moram ti to da kažem. Ja sam u ono vreme, bilo je bratstvo jedinstvo i udala sam se za Hrvata, to nismo gledali. Međutim, neću da pričam, samo ću da kažem da sam se razdala zbog, oni su bili Hrvati, ja sam bila Jevrejka i nisu nas trpeli i ja sam pobegla iz Hrvatske. I bolje što sam pobegla.
Hvala, Esther. Yeah, that was a message of one real survivor. Esther Bayer. We have 5-10 minutes more just to tell an anecdote from your biography on that topic. I think Aleksandra already said. Please. Was it the same case in Serbia that when you come with Michal?
Actually, no. I'm following my dear husband for 25 years abroad, and we spent years in Turkey, in the United States, in Belgium, and now we are here in Serbia. And except we brought 2 souvenirs, one from Turkey and one from America, our daughter and son.
Yeah.
And when we came here, we have a big minority in Vojvodina. Slovakian minority. Yes, and when we arrived for the first time to Bački Petrovac, and you are famous with your hospitality and friendship and everything. Very positive.
Moulin in Bački Petrovac.
And my husband turned to me and said, thanks God we are not abstinent and we are eating meat, because otherwise we would not survive her.
Yeah.
So no, but yes, thank you for everything here. Yeah, we feel like home here.
Thank you. Avivit?
I just wanted to use the opportunity to share with you a unique initiative in the Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs, where myself and my colleagues established the network of women in diplomacy. And this exists more than a decade now. And this is a network of Israeli and foreign female or women diplomats in Israel that meets every 2 months and have joint activities, discuss things in common, and it's very unique and very successful one. We invite keynote speakers to speak to the audience, and this is another way to enhance networking and know Israelis and foreign women to know each other better and get advantage of knowing better and being in the same club. We have our own club.
Thank you. Anne?
Yeah, maybe an anecdote of my the very beginning of my career. When I was 30 years old, I joined the ministry on the development cooperation side, and there was a lot of town hall meetings with many staff speaking about many topics. And in fact, it was only the men speaking, and I was there just newcomer. And precisely on what Avivit was saying before, you don't dare to take the floor because you're not sure whether what you're going to say is relevant. And then I thought, okay, look, these people, these men who are taking the floor, 45 years old, 50 years old, what they're saying is not always great. It's okay, but they are not genius. So why should I not take the floor either? And then I took the rule, an internal rule, of saying, I'm going to take the floor at each and every of those town hall meetings at least once. And then you get used to it. I was 30. And then you get used to it, and then, okay, you don't think about it anymore.
So,
it's just,
and you're here.
So it's just mirroring what you were saying before as a personal anecdote. Thank you so much for this very useful panel. Thank you.
Milana?
My anecdote goes how gender equality goes both ways. I'm working at UN Women, so we are activists, we are feminists, and we struggle for a long time to recruit a male colleague. We are 20 of us, and we for years didn't have any man in our team. At the end, we find a fantastic colleague who get PhD in gender studies, and he was working at a local level. And partners from the local level were absolutely shocked that there is a man working on gender equality and women's rights. They were very openly asking him at the meetings, is he gay? Because you can only be gay to be interested in women's rights and gender equality in Serbia. So I'm just saying that, and we have a fantastic man, we have to find a way to engage them, and social norms are as hard for men as hard for women.
He remained in your team?
He is.
He is, okay.
He's still there.
Plamena?
I think at this panel last year, I was sharing how, since my arrival, very often when I introduce myself, hello, I'm Plamena, I'm the deputy head of EU delegation, usually the reaction is, You were the deputy head of delegation, so I'm happy to report 1 year later on that this is happening less and less. But maybe to share an anecdote from my previous posting in Montenegro, where usually upon arriving to this type of events, before even I have the chance to explain, I was rushed to the back room as interpreters this way. I didn't have the chance to even explain I'm not the interpreter. Another anecdote I remember
But
is...
you look like Montenegrin, so,
Yes.
so tall and dark. Yeah.
Yes. Another anecdote I remember is that we had a meeting with a number of Montenegrin mayors, all happened to be men, some of them younger than me. So we arrive at the meeting and they start shaking hands with everybody, including members, male members of my team, but not with me. So these things happen. But, you know, with the time I learned not to take this personally because I think it has very little to do with me.
Yeah.
I think it really has to do with the mental image of
Centuries and centuries
exactly of what people imagine like a diplomat. And although I have a lot of problems with this video that you showed with the diplomat, the show, I think it has a very, how to say, sets a bit of unrealistic standards of what the job of female diplomat is.
That's
I mean,
Hollywood.
We do not feature on the covers of Vogue, and we don't have flings with the foreign ministers of the host country. But I think it's important because it challenges this image, mental image we all have of what a diplomat looks like. I mean, like this usually a Henry Kissinger type with a man, tall, with white hair, etc. So I think that's why it's very important that we have more women in diplomacy, that we have more positive examples that we look like, that we can identify with. And while we were doing the tour of questions, because you were wondering how many female EU ambassadors we have, I did the calculation in my head. So we have 27 member states. I think we have 21 resident member states. And I think only quarter of them are women.
Only quarter.
But we have much better gender equality. We're almost at 50% at the level of deputy heads of mission.
Of course.
Which gives me hope. We'll get there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Like PR managers in companies in Serbia, that 100% women.
Well, I said my anecdote, but I have two additional remarks. I wanted to add about UK and education. Education is enormously important. They have high-ranking priority project on education of girls in undeveloped societies, which is a very important one. I've found it for strengthening gender equality and for destiny of those girls. And other thing is something that I'm always putting question mark on. Last year, I've asked a Romanian ambassador, how did that happen?
Sylvia,
that they have so many female ambassadors. There was one in UK, in UN, in many positions. And she said after changes, all men fled into business.
Really?
So, ladies, let us be worried.
Even Laura Koveshi is in this position.
Thank you. I also have many anecdotes because I've been doing this job for a few years now. It's been 15 years. So, yes, I have a few anecdotes, but here my experience is very, very different. I'm also the spouse. So this complicates things very, very much because people see me firstly as a spouse and then they realize I work and they get shocked when they hear I don't just work, I'm a diplomat.
Yeah. I think this is the unique case in present Belgrade diplomatic society.
Well, it was the case when I arrived with the Polish couple.
With the Polish, yeah.
So it wasn't something unique here, but people get shocked. How is it possible that someone is also...
But I must say you are more present in events and everything than your Polish colleague.
Yes, because I talked about it with her, and she told me she did it on purpose. She was avoiding them because she didn't want to present herself so much as a spouse as much as a deputy. So it's hard to combine everything and have equal respect by the other people.
But I think you are good in this. We have a few minutes for just one question from the audience. Do we have? Yeah, please, please. Microphone, yeah, please.
Should I stand or okay, I'll stand?
Yeah.
Hi everyone, I am Blair. I'm an influencer. I'm an American from Massachusetts. My first career was actually in politics before traveling the world. My question, I'm a millennial, I'm 35, I'm single and child-free. So I lived all over the world. I met many diplomats, people in executive positions and as expat. When I lived in New Zealand or in Singapore and China, many of the women expats I found fall in two categories, whether they're a trailing spouse or they were in a diplomatic role. And I found very few men were actually willing to follow their wives' career. And I think that's kind of the problem. It's not like women are not ambitious, it's just very few men have evolved to let their wives take the career first. And when people ask me how I lived around the world, it's because I don't have a husband and I don't have children just to kind of anchor me or hold me back. I know that sounds terrible, but I think the reality for a lot of women today is this: you either stay single and child-free, or you have a partner that supports your career, puts you first, your earning potential first. And my career in politics, I worked for my Senator Elizabeth Warren. I love her, she's like my hero. She has a spouse that does the unglamorous work, is in the background. So for you, I mean, if you're married, how have you balanced, taking the forefront of your career, and has your spouse, accommodated your career and be in the background, do that unglamorous work? That's my question.
Okay. Who would? Super. Who would like to answer this? Please, Avivit. Yeah.
I think you hear me?
Yeah.
I think the secret is to marry the right man. This is the first thing I must do. I was lucky. I married 30 years. My husband accompanied me through all my missions. And he's from kibbutz, maybe because of his background of growing up in an egalitarian society where there's no difference between men and women. And I can share with you an anecdote. The first time he had to leave for business trip or something, our kids were small, and then they said, okay, so what shall we eat when he's away, okay? So
When he's away.
When he's away, okay? So this means that, division of labor in the house is very well and supporting the family. And I'm proud to be married to such a man. That's all. Thank you.
Yeah, like you. We have, Andrea, you want to add something?
Because I am exactly on the other side. I am following my husband for 25 years. And I finished business, of course, and I worked in Slovakia. And always, every time, I had to quit my job and follow my husband. But as you said, you were very lucky to choose the right man. My husband was very lucky to choose the right woman. And yes, and I'm doing it.
Okay, I see Plamena is, sorry.
Yeah, I'm doing it with big love, and of course, is about compromise and agreed on everything, and we are dealing perfect with kids and this. So
thank
I'm
you,
very happy.
Plamena.
I just have one suggestion: digital nomads. I mean,
I think
this is your pool. People who are not tied to a
yeah.
desk, who can work from anywhere, but even more importantly, a man who doesn't feel overshadowed by your light.